Hey boys and girls, King Squeeth the 16th here. Welcome to the third War Council of our Third Age Total War 2? Or whatever. The Gondor's Rise to Glory campaign LP. I am joined by four advisors right now. I'm joined by our advisor of diplomacy.
Hello?
I am joined by our advisor of cultural development.
Greetings.
I am joined by our advisor of military development.
Oi.
And we are joined by Tex for our advisor of treasury, Sergio. And he's typing hi, which obviously you guys can't see. And we have a bit of a, I would say emergency on our hands. Not in the immediate invasion per se, but in what this implies. And I've been in constant contact with our advisor of grand strategy, because he's going to be the one that it's going to fall mostly on his shoulders. But the problem is not that we can't repel this army right here, that the fact that we're now at war with two nations, and that is not what we wanted. And how much of a problem this is going to be for us. First of all, why don't we do this? Let's just go with thoughts, general thoughts and opinions of this. Surprise ending, so to say.
Alright. Would anyone mind if I went first?
Sure.
I think everyone minds.
Oh, well, that's too bad, because I'm
Absolutely,
going first anyway. Too bad. Anyway.
Your voice offends me.
Well, too bad, because you're going to be offended for quite some time. No, the main thought is that I'm afraid I haven't made myself clear, so that's my mistake. But the mistake of everyone, we inferred that a ceasefire automatically assumed peace, which is not what it is. A ceasefire just means you stopped your hostilities and you stopped killing each other for a while. And after this ceasefire, obviously, because we no longer were at war with Harad, we moved all of our troops away from the borders that bordered the Harad. Well, the Harad saw that we had no defenses. We don't have a peace treaty. We just had a ceasefire. We're not allied with the Harad, so they're not really betraying us. All they're doing is just jumping on the advantage again and starting a war, this time in their favor. So in the future, if we want to have a ceasefire and continued peace with Harad, we are going to have to fortify our borders at least a little bit to deter them from thinking that they can take it. So that's my initial impression.
Also, I was thinking about this, and I think I mentioned it in the session. If we had offered them tributes, small little tributes throughout the years, do you think that would have made a difference?
It might have made a slight difference. Actually, improving a relation, like relations with the Harad, would have probably made it less likely. However, the biggest way that you can say don't mess with us is to put some troops on the border. Not a lot. You don't have to put a full stack army or anything like that, but just enough to let them know that they can't easily take a territory or two from us. That, along with the small tributes, the small gifts, that can foster a lasting peace. And unfortunately, we moved a little too quickly. We assumed that they were just going to do what we wanted.
Right. Anyone else?
It was foolish of us to trust the Harad in the first place. They're the pawns of Sauron. They will do his will. They answer to him. He tells them to go on wars and whatnot, and they will do that.
Well, it wasn't so much...
We have to crush them.
Well, but the thing is, it wasn't so much that we wanted to trust them, it was a matter of necessity. We can't fight two wars at once. We'll be destroyed by it. Our grand strategy advisor has run several tests on this matter, and we can't fight both of them and hold our territory. We have to concentrate on one or the other.
We can't think of it as fighting two wars. It's fighting one war.
No, it's still fighting a war on two fronts, though.
Yes, that's true.
And the problem is, I agree with you completely, and I want nothing more than to beat the silly crap out of the Harad. but all the tests that we've been running are stating that we can't do both. We have to, at the very least, hold the defensive action against one while we concentrate on the other. Because if we try and take on both of them, we won't be able to keep our territory. We'll just be swamped.
Indeed.
Well, yeah, we can defend Kaer Andros and Ascillion. And it's more just stab the heck out of Harad.
What we're
That's what I would suggest too.
right. What the advisor
Actually.
of grand strategy, his opinion of at the moment, and I was hoping he would be here, but his opinion at
He's
the
on
moment,
right now.
Oh, well then why isn't he here? Hang on. Why isn't he here? I don't want to have to explain his job for him. Why am I not showing him as on? Hang on.
Because you touch yourself at night. That's why. That's why, Squeak.
But I have a fiance. I don't need to do such
Yeah,
things.
well. Well, obviously you're doing something wrong, because obviously Squeak doesn't.
Oh, crap. That is sad. Like, I have a fiance and I still can't even get that right.
Oh, I tease.
I was about to stop recording, but I can't now.
Oh no, don't tell me that came on.
Yeah, hang on a second. Anyway, he's not ready yet, but what he's basically the strategy, unless that's changed in the past couple of days, is to, as angry as we are, probably all are at Harad, is to take back the island and to take, this city right here, I forget what it's called. But to take back those, hang on, I'm going to turn the music down a little bit. There we go. And then just put enough troops there to hold the defensive ground and use the city as an early warning system, and then concentrate on Mordor. But it might be worth it to bring up to him the idea of holding off Mordor while we concentrate on Harad.
Harad is the
That would
soft
be
underbelly
that's what I would
of the
probably
faction.
agree with.
Right? Maybe take out Harad.
I would have to agree as well. I think the Harad need to be taught a lesson that they shouldn't take our ceasefire lightly, and if we pound a little bit and strengthen our border against them and weaken them, they are more likely to accept a lasting ceasefire. And now that we know how to treat it properly, not only will they accept a lasting ceasefire, but they'll be less likely to attack us again because they'll be weakened.
Well, speaking of the devil, it looks like we're joined by our advisor of grand strategy at last, Rebel. Say hello if you're there.
I'm still here.
Still here.
I've got a very sore throat.
Oh, that sucks. You alright, buddy?
Yeah, I just slept a little bit late, so that's why I'm late.
That's fine. We were just discussing, I was telling them what your plans had been so far about basically retaking the territory we had and then holding Harad at bay while we take on Mordor. However, they're suggesting that it might be better to hold Mordor at bay while we take on Harad.
That's a good idea.
Because the
I think
general consensus seems to be that Harad is weaker.
I think the plan that I put up on the forums actually outlines attacking Harad rather than attacking
Well, no. What I meant was,
Mordor.
what we had discussed was attacking Harad to take that island back and take the city. I'm on stream, by the way, so you can see what we're doing if you want to get on there. And take that city. I forget what it's called. And then stop once we got there, if I'm correct.
Yeah. That was the idea.
But the suggestion is, if we're going to have to fight a war with both of them, to actually take the war to Harad and push much deeper, and if not, wipe them out, at least teach them a really strong lesson while we hold Mordor at bay. Which, I guess there is some wisdom to that, that if Harad is easier for picking, if we can take a lot of Harad territory and keep it, then we'll have a much stronger base when we attack Mordor. The question is, can we hold Mordor at bay for that long?
Osgiliath is a pretty good defensive position.
I'm inclined to agree, actually. The reason I was saying to attack Mordor wasn't so much that Mordor was weaker, it was actually because Mordor was stronger. Was if we let Mordor build up more and more larger armies than we've got, then we're going to end up having maybe 2-3 armies besieging one place at once. And if that happens, then we're going to end up losing accounts by sheer weight of numbers in a war of attrition. And that was my main concern, rather than actually the amount of territory we're taking.
Do that with Eastern Osgiliath. They can't actually siege with more than one unit on Carandos or Western because of the whole bridge situation.
Huh.
That's a fair point, actually. That's quite... yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
That's why I was arguing against taking Eastern Osgiliath.
Now, I have a question, actually. I was wondering this. If I have Eastern Osgiliath, they can't siege Western Osgiliath before they've taken Eastern?
Yeah,
That's true.
Eastern acts as a shield.
Okay, I was just making sure because I remember there was an army that almost bypassed Eastern Osgiliath and attacked Western, and I wasn't sure if that was because they held it or because they could just walk right around it. Didn't make sense, but you know. I wanted to make sure that that was the case. So we're saying that it might actually be a better idea to just hold a strong defensive front here, and then, if not wipe out Harad, at least take a big chunk of their territory. That wasn't rhetorical, folks. That was asking.
Alright. No, that seems like a reasonable idea if it's possible.
All right.
I mean, that's
So
left for me to decide, I suppose. But yeah, that does make sense.
Well, we could do this. We could.
Retaking Southern Gondor would help our war effort.
Well, here's an idea.
We can't let them remain as slaves to the Harad. We should probably liberate them.
I'll go for that, but the whole warmongering that's been going on in the forums about Rohan's our allies. We're not attacking them unless they attack us.
Never.
Not Rohan,
Never
Southern
will I.
Gondor. I was talking about Gondor.
Oh, I know, but Galagoth wants to kick those bums out of our old lands.
They're just leasing.
In ancient days, we gave them those lands.
Right, as an ancient.
And
gift.
as long as I'm the diplomacy advisor, not be going at war with Rohan ever.
Right. I mean, that's kind of like
What I'm saying is, it's kind of their land now. We should rely on them to defend us from any enemies that might attack from the north.
I agree. I was thinking that's kind of like Rome going, England, you know, you used to be part of our empire, so...
Speaking of having allies, however, my only other suggestion, diplomatically, oh my god, how can I advise if I can't even say the damn word? Anyway, diplomatically speaking, we should try to garner as many allies as possible, which means the Dale and perhaps the Elves. Because the more
We should
allies that we
definitely,
have...
We should definitely ally the free people of Elrondor. That way they can
Yeah,
come to
free
the Kingdom of
people.
Anar. Yeah.
The free people...
Arnor.
What's the advantage to align with them?
Well,
Because then
thankfully, it's
eventually
one... It's,
comes the reformed Kingdom of Anar. And that will give us a strong ally in the north, holding off tension from the northern Orcish factions.
Okay.
And yes, and in addition, I mean, if we are going to be fighting now against two factions and on two fronts, east and south, and we don't need to worry about our north and our west, frankly. And just for more of a roleplay point of view, when you're faced versus two, intimidating armies, which is Mordor and Harad, you're going to want to garner as many allies as you can.